If you were to go into business for yourself, what industry would you choose? Businesses provide goods and services to others in exchange for a profit. If that business is run well and is in demand, the profits can be breathtaking. If not, it can lose money and be out of business. There's always the risk of failure. After all, if huge profits were a sure thing, everyone would run their own business. Taking risks and making profits within the dynamic business environment, well, it's not for the faint of heart. But for the winners, it can mean an increased quality of life and more money to fuel other local businesses and infrastructure through purchases and taxes. The super successful can even become philanthropists, giving their money away to great causes. Those who are willing to take the risk for starting a business are a rare breed, special kinds of people known as entrepreneurs. You might recognize Tom Lennon, but he's not just an artist. He's a wildly successful entrepreneur. You might know his work as a comedian on Reno 911.
I'm just knocking him out, that's all. Ready? William
Or the CBS reboot of The Odd Couple, or his acting work in film, such as I Love You Man.
I really enjoyed this.
Awesome.
17 Again,
I'm here to enroll my son.
Sup?
Hot Tub Time Machine 2, We're the Millers, and The Dark Knight Rises.
I cannot recommend that you go hella skiing.
When we met Tom at his home in Los Angeles to talk about his success in the entertainment industry, he gave us a quick tour.
Now, here is the thing about my life. A lot of people have walls of awards, of mentions they've done, things like that. I have one vaguely positive quote from Kenny Rogers. You'll find a lot of Hollywood screenwriters have the wall of guitars, which is to symbolize that they meant to be in a band.
The truth is, Tom's being modest. He's also a producer, director, and prolific writer with over 8 produced screenplays and even more writing for television. In fact, he and his writing partner and friend from college, Robert Ben Garant, have been so successful they even wrote a book about how to make it in Hollywood.
Our book is not about writing. You know, writing is a creative process. It's something that, it's fun. I love the movies that we're writing. I had a great time writing Herbie Fully Loaded right until I saw the movie. Our book is about surviving, the business aspect of it, how to get hired again when you've been fired.
Tom and Ben's screenplay for Night at the Museum was so well received it led to 2 sequels. Sequels where the process was every bit as challenging.
And I've been fired off of Night at the Museum 3 times by Ben Stiller, who is a very good friend, which will happen constantly, all the time. You will endlessly get fired, and you need to be able to find a way to suppress your ego just a little bit and walk it off. Don't say something you regret as you walk out the door and throw a grenade behind you. You need to be as delightful as possible to work with.
Writing is a tough business. There's lots of competition and few writers that ever actually sell their work. Some top writers work on teams for big studios. Much like other late-night hosts, Jimmy Fallon has a whole staff of writers that pen jokes and sketches for each Tonight Show. While there's a lot of security in writing for someone else, there's also restraints. Censorship by the FCC limits the raciness of Tonight Show writing, for example, and the format limits the breadth and the complexity of the show's sketches. Also, staff writers, like all employees, work for a salary. So if they come up with something really brilliant, they get paid just as much as if they merely punched up someone else's work. Tom took the independent route at a young age. He joined a comedy troupe at NYU. They started playing at bars, and that led to an MTV show, which was hosted by a young Jon Stewart, which led to their own critically acclaimed sketch comedy show, The State. Tom's subsequent successes have given him the freedom to write and produce his own projects, and to perform in those projects as he chooses.
You are the greatest player I have ever seen.
other than myself.
Anything that gets into a big studio movie, any line or joke, has been vetted by about 5 or 6 people before the movie star and the director. You get a lot of notes, because this is you're spending a lot of their money. Then you can do what we did last year, which is we made a movie called Hell Baby down in New Orleans. It cost $2 million. We were never given one note, ever. I love the movie. It got horrifyingly bad reviews. And the day that it came out on demand, it was watched on YouTube illegally 68,000 times.
Jeepers.
So the studios, while they give you a lot of notes and they're real hands-on, they also protect you in a lot of ways, and they pay you a ton.
Being an entrepreneur means not only taking risks, but experiencing setbacks as well. And in Hollywood, changing audience tastes, technological advances, and drastic budget cuts by struggling studios are all things that Tom has had to respond to. One of his biggest challenges happened at the Fox network.
We were trying to do a sketch show for Saturday nights on Fox. The president of Fox, somebody we still work for, said, you know what, there's no hook. You're canceled. We're like, we got canceled at the table read. And it went pretty well. So we called, but we were like, you know what, we might do, since we still have the budget and the crew and this cast, we're gonna do something and turn it in for you anyway. Turned it in, got very close to getting on the air at Fox, but did not get on the air at Fox. Sat on the shelf for 3 years. Comedy Central called us and said, you guys, we'd love to get you guys back on Comedy Central. Is there anything you'd like to do? We said, we showed it to them. They're like, great, sold.
That show, Reno 911, was obviously immensely successful, running for 6 critically acclaimed seasons and leading to a movie. This earned Tom greater opportunities, all during the dawn of the digital revolution, when studios refocused their marketing strategies to appeal to global audiences. Tom makes it very clear in his book that to be successful as a screenwriter, you have to treat it as a business, and you have to do what your client, the studio, expects.
Like if I was to call a contractor in my house and be like, great, I want a kitchen. And he's gonna say, great, this is like no kitchen you've ever seen in your life. It's got 16 double freezers and no sink at all. I don't know what I said to you that made you think I want something that's not a traditional kitchen. So writing studio movies, you are a contractor. The upside of being able to work in those, a contractor who can work in those constraints is, there are script doctors in Hollywood who make $250,000 a week.
To justify such rates, by earning studios as much money as possible, writers often avoid culturally dependent jokes and culturally insensitive characters in favor of more broad humor, to keep films accessible to the diverse global market. China, for example, limits the import of foreign films to just 34 per year, creating fierce competition for access to that lucrative audience. Yet that competition and the resulting demand for non-Chinese products have inspired China to raise this quota over the years from much smaller numbers. The original Night at the Museum played in over 70 countries, doing huge box office numbers from the Americas to Europe, Australia, and Southeast Asia.
Freaking awesome!
That success earned Tom and Ben other opportunities, which also earned huge profits. But none of it comes easy.
What seems like sort of casual success is usually just a shit ton of work. Ben and I write 8 or 10 films for every one that gets made. The day I got married, I spent half the day doing a rewrite on something.
At the beginning, we told you that Tom was a successful screenwriter. What we didn't tell you is just how successful he's been. The first 2 Night at the Museum films combined brought in nearly $1 billion at the box office. And a third film is likely to push the total box office earnings to over $2 billion, making him and his partner only the 6th writers to achieve that feat, and the only ones who are also on-screen performers. Tom will soon join the likes of George Lucas and James Cameron as one of the most successful screenwriters in the history of Hollywood. So how did he do it? Well, it was a combination of luck, skill, hard work, and most importantly, approaching his career like an entrepreneur.
Almost everything we've done, if there's one unifying factor, we didn't ask somebody's permission and wait for permission. Permission isn't coming. Don't ask permission, just go do it.